Welcome to the solemn YuGiOh channel where we discuss everything collecting and investing in Yu-Gi-Oh! So today, you want to sit back and relax. This is going to be a slow video. We're going to be talking about the market, about the last few PWCC auctions, and basically what's going on in this market. And it's going to be a chill talk. I don't intend to edit because quite frankly, I don't have the time. So yeah, grab a drink. Grab some food. I even have a drink and some food, so if you want some ASMR action of me chewing, that's also coming. If you have that one disease where, you freak out by hearing people eating, too bad. So, let's check out this beautiful, beautiful PWCC stuff. So first of all, we have some of these packs. Now, these are loose packs, these aren't graded. I assume that means these are light, they are first edition, and they all ended between 500 and 600. This was very recent, and overall these prices are, I don't know, they're lower than their graded counterparts, obviously, but they're also just, pretty low in general. Now, I didn't do research into these particular ones, I have no clue what the meaning is of this. Overall, they're lower. They're lower than what we're used to as far as LOB packs go. So we've been seeing this on quite some cards and everything Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically. Everything's kind of going down, which is exactly, by the way, what we've been talking about on this channel. I've been able to endure enough shit talking from enough people while being bearish. And now we'll get to the point where I can say I told you so. So, that being said, again, I am long-term very bullish on Yu-Gi-Oh! Still. We had our euphoria. The market in Pokemon crashed. The market in MTG is overall pretty stable, but dipping a little. Flesh and Blood is also going down. I'm not sure about DBS. I'm honestly not informed enough about the specifics, but I assume that all the quote-unquote altcoins or shit coins of the card world, let's say, whatever you want to call those, are probably going to be hurt worse than the proper big three. And of course, big three, not talking about sports. So we have a BGS 9.5 10,000 Dragon quad 9.5 for 2K. Yeah, I mean 10,000 Dragon, again, I will forever be bearish on this card. Everyone and their mom graded it. The 9s are now selling for essentially raw prices. We've got some modernish stuff also going on. Okay, we're not going to be discussing those. As for OCG, I can't comment on these. Like these ghosts, they look cool, but I simply don't know enough about them to make big comments. Let's see. LOB reprint, yeah, whatever. Again, Duelist Pack Kaiba First Edition Blue Eyes PSA 10 1,500. See, we're seeing weakness overall in the market. We're seeing certain cards going down and dipping, but then there's certain cards that have no business breaking record highs, still breaking record highs. And I think that's because the cards, the best cards, the higher end items are still out of reach of most people our age, even though, they're super rare and so forth. And so as liquidity dries up, those simply can't hit their all-time highs on auctions. That is the problem with auctions. And when there's euphoria, everyone, is gladly overpaying on auctions, but the normal version of this market is people putting stuff up on buy it now. And then once in a while, those high-ticket items sell because, there's only one available and that one is going for a record price at that time. Whereas during Euphoria, everything was constantly hitting all-time highs. So, I think that's pretty interesting. So that means that, like, quote-unquote, not very particularly special cards, like this Duelist Pack Kaiba Blue Eyes, and I actually really like this thing because it's like, it looks like the SDK, it's a cool card and so forth, but let's be real, I personally wouldn't be paying 1,500 for this. So cards like this are still doing extremely well, which is wild to me. We have some packs, some 5D stuff. One thing I'm really noticing, by the way, even though we're seeing weakness in certain cards, we are not seeing supply hit this market. And so, we can all say like, oh, when the PSA backlog returns and when things are going down, the market's going to be flooded with all of this supply and there's going to be so much. And I'm like, where is that supply? I am watching constantly. Nothing is hitting the market. Even Ross, you would think that with PSA and BGS both being closed and so no one being able to do any grading arbitrage, that people would be willing to get rid of their Ross because that's the only way they can get money. And I look on Card Market and TCG Player on eBay, everything is still beat up and garbage. There are no minty copies of the best cards. There are no bargains. There is no supply. So, again, I'm short-term bear, long-term bull, but I feel like if things are truly going to be going down, there's going to be massive opportunity because these cards are more rare than most of us think. There is simply no supply. There's none of it. I'm looking constantly. And it just doesn't exist. Once again, I'm going over OCG stuff because I simply can't comment. Cyber Ant is awesome. Shining Flare Wingman is awesome. But Japanese Unlim, I have no clue what these are supposed to be raw. So I can't comment on 8s and 9s and so forth. Skyscraper, PSA 9 first edition, yeah. Original Skyscraper is a super, right? So that's pretty low, I want to say. Because that would have to be about as rare as Cyber Dragon. Is that right? Is that as hard to pull as Cyber Dragon? I don't know. I'm pretty sure Skyscraper is a super, but maybe I'm wrong. First Ed Reshef, PSA 9 for 130. Okay. Meanwhile, PSA 9 Unlimited Cyber End for 1,500. That is wild. That is another thing I've been noticing. We're seeing weakness in dual monsters, but then GX is booming. And I want to caution you on that one. I am, by the way, again, long-term bullish on GX. I love GX. I still think dual monsters will win harder, but I love GX as well, and I think GX will do well, especially because ultis are so much more rare than anything dual monsters. But I'm noticing everything in GX ultis rallying right now. And on the one hand, it's justified, because it needed to catch up to all the hype of dual monsters. But on the other hand, it really reminds me of what happened to altcoins during the Bitcoin crash and what happened to gold stars during the Pokemon base set crash. Essentially what you saw was in the Bitcoin thing in 2017, Bitcoin rallied, then popped, and then a lot of that capital, not all, flowed to altcoins. Then we saw altcoins pump, and then those dumped afterwards. What did we see in Pokemon? We saw base set pump up, and then we saw it crash. And during that crash, YouTubers started hyping up like, yeah, base set is kind of going through a dip, but look at all these other cards doing great because they're actually more rare. And then people started hyping, whether it's EXs or gold stars or all these other cool cards that are, slightly lower pop and also still loved. And probably also Johto and so forth, you saw those hype up because whether it's people, trying to put their capital in something that isn't falling, or they're trying to chase after rarity, or they're trying to go after the thing that isn't being hyped as much. I don't know what the reason is, probably a combination of all of those factors, but we noticed all of that capital flowing there. And then as that entire market started going bearish, you noticed all of those falling off as well. And so what I think we're seeing right now in GX, and again, I'm holding GX cards and I believe in GX and I love GX, is the exact same pattern. I think we're seeing that capital flowing to GX, and I think as the market goes even slightly more bearish, I think that will then also fall off. It's like this delayed fall off that we saw in crypto, the delayed fall off that we saw in Pokemon. And I assume it's going to be similar here. But again, that's just speculation. This is no financial advice. I don't think you can short the GX market either. Flame Wingman, PSA 9, 1,300. PSA 10, Ancient Gear Golem, 3K. I've noticed a lot of golems going for sale. I've been told, I think it was strictly sealed, but I'm not sure, that it was much easier, at least according to the pools, that Golem was easier to pull, but I don't know how true that is. Again, I've never opened the Lost Millennium. I have no clue about that, about the pull rate at least. But I've noticed a lot of them going for sale. So I don't know if that means there's more out there, or if it's maybe just not as loved. I can imagine there's more Cyber fans and more Hero fans than there are Ancient Gear fans, even though I love this card. I think it's really cool. It's also the cover card of the Lost Millennium, which helps it a lot in my opinion. It also didn't have the upper deck dilemma with the silver stamp that Flame Wingman did. At least I think so. But yeah, so I do like the card, but I noticed, I don't know why, I seem to see it for sale way more often. So yeah, I haven't checked the pop. Maybe I should do that. And then we have some starter deck evolution. Yeah, I mean, this is also a pretty important topic. Some people are calling, for dips in the market and so forth. And I do think we'll see a bear market for a little while. But most of the supply hitting the market, and I already alluded to with the fact that I can't find Ross anywhere. Like, they're just not out there. So if everyone's thinking, oh, there's going to be this massive PSA supply hitting the market, I agree, we're going to see more of it. But the wave isn't that big because I can't find shit anywhere. The only cards that I see on eBay coming up now with the newer certs are trash like this. Like Starter Deck Evolution, PSA 6s and 7s and Modern and just all of these cards that no one ever really bought for these inflated prices that we saw during the euphoria in end of 2020, beginning 2021. All of these types of cards is what we're seeing. These are still very rarely showing up. And so, while we may have some depressed prices for a while, I think it's still important to realize that our supply is just small. And again, to just make a quick comparison to Pokemon, and I'm not a fan of doing that, but if you go to Pokemon right now, you have gold stars of specific cards coming up every fucking month. You have specific cards that are quote-unquote the rarest in the hobby, blah, 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 just popping up every other week. Here, that is not the case. There has not been a Cyber End-Dragon for sale in a year. There has not been whatever the hell, Shining Flare Wingman, I think, was for sale once the past 12 months on eBay. The PSA 10, of course. The supply just isn't there. We've had 3 SDK sales in almost a year. Yeah, almost a year. Think about that. Our supply is low. Our supply is ungodly low. And you will notice that with the PSA returns as well. Again, it's going to increase. The supply will increase. There is a backlog waiting with cards. But I think the fear, the bearishness that some people are feeling now, isn't taking into account how much shit is inside that backlog. It's going to be a lot of this, and a whole lot of Modern. Some Lost Art Dark Magician Girl Avalanche, together with 10,000 Dragon and so forth. And I love Lost Art Dark Magician Girl, by the way. I'm 100% keeping one for myself, no matter what. So if I'm only pulling 110, that 110 is going into the collection. I love that card. It's a beautiful card, but it's more of a, in my opinion, collector card than an investor card, if that makes sense. In my opinion, the vintage is still going to be the place to quote-unquote park money. But again, in a risky market. Okay, we have our Archlord Serrato, Ancient Sanctuary, first edition, PSA 10. Really? Oh, Asian English, okay. I was about to say 82 for that, no way, but it's Asian English, okay. Again, Asian English is also going to be a shit ton out there. I've already been noticing that in new certs. There's so much Asian English, it's insane. This is the part where I start eating. Black Tyranno, PSA 6. For $20, I mean, there's also an interesting thing. I think some of these, if we click real quick, look at how new the cert is. And it got a 6. Someone probably bought this raw, thinking, oh, it's IOC, it's first edition American. It's a pretty loved card. I'm gonna sub it in, and probably early 2020. It now came back, or maybe mid 2020. Now it came back. And they're like, you know what? I'm afraid I'm going to sell it. I want my money out of this. Maybe they paid like $5 for the card back then, maybe 10 for grading. They're just fine with breaking even. And so now there's someone who's like, well, there's no way for me to actually get a slabbed Black Tyranno anymore because the grading fee has exceeded this price. So if you want a slabbed Black Tyranno right now, you can buy it for cheaper than a grading fee and still have a cool slab. And again, I'm not talking from a stonks perspective, but I'm just saying from a casual collector perspective. I think we will have a lot of quote-unquote opportunity, to build very casual, fun little collections with cards you enjoy for lower than the grading fee, because people from the past got in at lower grading fees. So that's pretty interesting. Again, $20, it's whatever, right? But from a casual collector perspective, just having fun, wanting some slabs, like, what are you losing? 4 Starbucks? Maybe 3 Starbucks? I don't know. I don't keep up with American coffee prices, but I don't know. Just something interesting. I do like that card a lot. I think it was my first ever pulled Ultra. Okay, Star Deck Evolution, once again. First edition Fiber Jar PSA 5, 44. Okay. Kind of whatever. Similar story to the Black Tyranno, but here you're higher than your grading fee. So here I start, making considerations. Though again, it's with quote-unquote very little money. But I think there's better buys than. Injection Fairy Lily, first edition PSA 8 for 572 buckaroos. Again, is this higher or lower than its... I don't think this is all-time high, but I think it's relatively close. And when put into perspective of where the market was like last year, I think this is still like crazy high. Though again, let's check this out. A relatively new cert. Again, this is not this year, this is last year. Last year, I want to say. You're getting a relatively clean Injection Fairy Lily. Also pretty decent centering. Not great, but not awful. For 572, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's bad. I think it can go lower, but I don't think that's actually that bad. I think if you're comparing to 2 years ago, obviously that's insane. 3 years ago you could buy the 10 for that. Let's go to page 3. We also have some packs here. I don't keep up with Pharaonic Guardian slabbed pack prices, so I can't really comment on them. Let's see. We have a Vampire Lord PSA 7 for 125. I don't know how to comment on that. Like, PSA 7 and 6, you gotta start asking yourself, why aren't you buying raw? But on the other hand, I'm a sucker for slabs. So, like, while financially speaking, 6s and 7s should absolutely be the same as raw, I do also understand that owning a slab is way more fun. Like, it makes it feel like a collectible. So I actually, over the past year or so, have also been subbing weaker cards, because I'm like, I just like this damn card. And if it comes back as 7, that's fine. I still have a really cool card that I'm not forced to put in a binder just so it doesn't get damaged. Like, I'll have this strong casting. And yeah, sure, you could use those thick lucite things, but they don't stack. They're clunky. Like, I really like slabs. So yeah, like, I'll be getting back some 7s and so forth myself, and that's fine. Because if you like the card, that might be worth it to you. Let's see, PSA 10 Secret Rare Obelisk for 1,400. That's actually holding pretty well. Like, I think its all-time high was, 1,800 for the Secret. So that's down $400. What is that, 25%, 20? I don't know. I don't want to do quick math. So that's a little down, but it's not that down. The pop of these is quite high. Obviously less high than the Ultra, but so it's holding relatively strong. Of course, PSA 6, whatever, PSA 9. These cards are very comparable to Dark Duel Stories, where they are that thicker, stronger card stock. So generally, when they come out of your game, as far as I'm aware, they are much, much mintier than a booster pack card. So, if you're pulling your card, it's either a 9 or a 10, often a 10. So 9s, you might as well buy raw pretty often. PSA 7, what the hell? PSA 10 Secret here for 1,600. Okay, that's ending higher. So once again, in the same block, you had two of the same card. I'm still not a huge fan of that within PWCC auctions, because what you're essentially doing is you're spreading your audience thinner across the same card. So, you know, where you had 23 bits here and 16 bits here, and there's some overlap, you already noticed there were more people fighting over this card than this card. And so this one ended lower because, quite simply, one of the buyers already got the card here. And so if you're PWCC, again, this is not your fault, you know, it is what it is. There's the amount of people wanting to sell now, and you'll help them. But it drives down that second copy. And if you start having like maybe 10 listings of the same card, well, first of all, the card is probably not that rare. But secondly, again, they're all going to end lower purely because it's all the same date and there's only so much liquidity on a given day. One's here as SGC. I'm not following SGC. Pharaoh's Servant, first edition, Jinzo, Asian English, yeah, kind of whatever. Ultra Sly for PSA 10 for 590. So we already saw this happening. Last block, where all the GBI was going down. I already alluded to this before. Their pop is very high. Quickly opening a Coke. Again, this is a very, very chill moment. You gotta consider it a live stream that you can pause. Slifer, Obelisk, and Ra from GBI. There's a shit ton out there. However, and I've said this before, they are the people's favorite cards beyond, you know, the obvious ones like the Blue Eyes, the Dark Magician Girl. The amount of questions I get about these cards is insane. And it's usually from buyers' perspective, which is very, very important to realize, because when I say questions I get, I also often get questions from people with starter deck evolution cards. But it's always, how much can I sell this for? Because no one fucking wants these. So everyone's always trying to sell the SKE and the SYE, and everyone's always trying to buy the GBI. Again, based on just questions I receive. So, you know, there's some bias in there, but it's still interesting data. So while these are now going down, and that might be justified with all of the supply hitting the market, I do still like these cards a lot. And the demand for them exists. It's just that demand has to fight a lot of supply. Then PSA 8s, again, lower grades of the God cards I'm relatively iffy on, because you're already fighting on higher supply, let's say, so it's tough. But if you are a collector and you don't give a damn about the finance side, and you don't care about the prestige of a 10, you can pick up a graded cool copy, you know, like this pretty easily. I saw people paying this, not for the Ultra, granted, but for the Secret, for the Raws, and like right now you can pick up the graded 8, which again might as well be the same, but at least you don't have to fucking wait. Starter deck Flute 9 for $51. So this is interesting. One thing people aren't thinking about is that a card like Flute, there's just as many copies out there of Flute as of the Blue Eyes itself. And so the difference in price between Flute and Blue Eyes, there's only two things. First of all, Blue Eyes was so loved that every little Timmy, and that includes me, like little Timmy Maxime, would put that Blue Eyes in the deck. Whereas the Flute, you're like, whatever, that card isn't cool, I don't put it in my deck. So the Flutes were less played, and that may have an impact on the minty pop, but generally no, because, you know, once a kid played with a card, it's probably not getting a 10 anymore anyway. So the only real factor influencing the price of Flute is demand. And an SDK Blue Eyes sells for so much more than the damn Flute. It's insane. And again, they should, theoretically, be the same amount of cards in existence. Think about that when you only look at rarity as your justification for price. Because when you strip demand, you know, a starter deck card, whether it's common or whatever, is just as rare as the Blue Eyes. Any of the starter deck cards that weren't doubles in the deck. And I think none of them were doubles, right? So they should all be the same. But Flute is selling for $51 for a 9. And I'm not saying it should be higher, by the way. I'm simply stating that it's a very good example of what power demand has. Because the 9 of the SDK Blue Eyes sold for what, 2,900 the other day? Whereas this sold for 51. That's the difference between true iconic demand and purely supply. So when you try to only look at, rarity, just remember that demand exists and it can be a multiplier of 20. Actually more. Whoa, it's more. Is it a multiplier of... I don't want to do math right now. I'm trying to eat and do this weird episode at the same time. So next up, BGS 9 Mechanical Chaser. TP1. Faded as hell, no subs. 1,500. So, if you didn't ask for subs, that means either you were cheaping out, but more likely that you knew the card wasn't that strong, and that you were hoping for a 9.5 without subs, not showing that there were some weaker subs. Usually that's, a little bit of the psychology going on there. Not always, but I'm just saying it's the most likely scenario. And so this is probably a relatively weak card. And again, it got a 9, so it's probably not, dog shit, beaten up and so forth. But I'm saying it's not a gem mint card. That person didn't assume it would be a perfect grade. And so that makes this grade, more questionable, because some people might say, oh, might it be an 8.5? Maybe it's not the strongest 9, whatever, okay. But that means that someone paid 1,500 for a quote-unquote weak 9. We should assume it's a weak 9. And again, we can click, but, you're not going to get a really good look at that just from that. We can try to zoom in. I guess, but it's always tough to say on these pictures from PWCC. Overall, I'm not really seeing any tough widening. Like, this could be a question. This could be a question, but it could also be lighting. Kind of off-center, like left to right and top to bottom. Super faded, which is something you might like or not like. Let's look at the condition right here. A little bit of widening here. But overall, again, hard to see. It might have some issues on the surface or whatever. That's why I don't like to judge, quality just from pictures like this, but it's the best we have. But overall, 1,500 is definitely a decline on this card. It's just that I don't know if this would have gotten the same as a PSA 9, because there's so many ifs and buts. So generally, BGS doesn't do too hot in PWCC, but I don't want to judge Mechanical Chaser's overall value just of one BGS 9 without subs, faded PWCC sale, let's say it like that. Then we have some unlim, okay, whatever, unlim, okay, whatever, unlim, okay, whatever. Again, this is a lot of the stuff that we're going to be seeing. And as you can see on the cert, it's a 5.6, it's a 5.6. These are new certs. We're seeing a lot of that stuff. Here, a PSA 7 SDK. Again, 5.4, relatively new cert. Then we have a PSA 9 Lord of D, mint 9, okay, for 91. Again, this should be just as rare as the SDK Blue Eyes, as far as, hard pop goes. But once again, the demand needs to matter. You can't beat Blue Eyes. It's also why, certain Ultras, they might be just as rare as LOB Blue Eyes and so forth, but that Blue Eyes factor matters so much that it can completely change your price. And once again, here, unlim. Here, unlim, a blister pack for 1,500. So that is very interesting. We noticed the other packs earlier actually, between 500 and 600 because they're loose packs, so we can assume their weight. But here with a blister, it still goes for that all-time high or near all-time high kind of price, or at least, much higher, a triple of the price. So when it's not weighed, people are still more than willing to shelve out a lot of cash for single packs. That's interesting to be aware of. Here an unlim, okay, unlim Gaia, unlim, 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 unlim. Do you get my point? So we have some more packs, again, between 500 and, let's say between 500 and 700 then, yeah. Unlim LOB PSA 10 Blue Eyes. Wow, for 2,650. Wasn't this a $7,000 card, guys? Damn, I guess not. So, yeah, this is a big fall from grace for Unlim. which is fair. We've been talking about it on the channel for a very long time. I'm not sure if this is a new one. I'm not going to check right now. But again, you know, Unlim has more risk, and we already see this. And we've been talking about it on the channel for a long time. We're seeing Asian English and Unlim overall just getting slaughtered in prices. Because when Euphoria wanes, the people that are staying are generally the non-speculators. They are generally the actual collectors, or, you know, the people who are investing in it for the longer term. And those people aren't buying PSA 6 Asian English Unlim cards. And we're just seeing that play out. All of those cards are getting slaughtered. PSA 6, right leg for 275. Okay, once again, new cert. Right arm, mint 9, actually. Ooh, that is actually a fall right here. So here you had a right arm for 740. So we're going back to November prices right here, or December. Like November, December, let's say, is when we had these prices, 2020. Compared to the 1,000 that we saw earlier this year. Then we have 8s and 6s at kind of whatever. LOB, Blue Eyes, PSA 9 first edition, $9,000 dues. Okay. We have a Unlim, which is kind of whatever. Actually, thinking of it, 9,000 is also lower than its all-time high. I think the all-time high on a 9 was what, 15K? Or was it 12? I don't remember. First at Trihorn, PSA 9, 785. That's a fall. Not a big one though. Or is it a big one? But that is a fall. Personally, I don't own a Trihorn, and I do want to own one. And this is not the price where I'm buying, but it's getting much more tempting. Let me say that. I will personally be buying the 10 of this, but I'm gonna wait a little. Yeah, we're now so many minutes into the video. I already know 50% of people have clicked off. Maybe more, maybe it's 90%. Asian English, yeah, okay, getting slaughtered, whatever. PSA 9 LOB first set, Asian English getting slaughtered, okay, whatever. Same story. We're gonna keep on seeing that play out. Let me quickly grab... Oh, no, I can't grab it. Whatever. On the Discord, I posted this little graph before, and I think I've posted on the channel before as well, where I showed what I think would be happening to Yu-Gi-Oh card prices. And essentially, when I drew the graph, I was showing it would go like this for everything, yeah? Like this. And then we would see everything go down, yeah? And then the best cards... The first edition, best grade, best everything, best wanted, you know, just the best cards. And everyone knows what these are, by the way. You know, everyone already agrees on these cards. These would then eventually, you know, recover and go higher. That was my assumption, you know. Go up, we have our little crash, dip, whatever, correction, whatever you want to call it. Going down a little, not back to 2018 prices in my opinion, but, you know, go back down a little. And then they would recover again and go higher. Simply because, in my opinion, this hobby still has so much growth left. And these are the best cards and everyone knows. And then the Unlim, the Asian English, the cards that generally people don't want, the PSA 6s and so forth, those would also decline and then not recover and simply go down. That was my harsh prediction. And it's gradually playing out. I think we're now in that down slope. But I'm just saying that I believe these types of cards, they're only going to keep going down, in my opinion. They'll obviously get a point of stagnation. There's going to be a point where they can't keep on going down because there would be no incentive anymore to sell whatsoever. But I'm just saying the risk is going to play out. Let's keep it that way. MRD first edition booster box, 7,700. With booster boxes, I always want to check flaps and specifics because you never want to buy a sketchy box and like it might end lower because it was sketchy. So I'm not going to judge here. Like I'm not going to check from just a picture. But overall, assuming that everything is fine, this is a retracement. I think its all-time high was like 12K or something, and it is 7. That's much lower. And that goes back to that concept that we've been talking about on this channel, that everyone was so caught up in the, oh, sealed can only go up. People were saying like, oh, you know, the amount of copies in the world will only get smaller, therefore sealed only goes up. And like, no, because again, demand can wane. And so if the cards inside go down, the box has to go down with it. And you can quote alpha investments going time versus stimmy and so forth, sure. And I've seen the video and I enjoy it, and there's a lot of concepts I agree with, but the fact of the matter is, if demand wanes and cards inside go down, the box needs to follow eventually. It's not because time worked that, you know, fundamental concepts and general economics no longer apply. So we're now seeing that. I do still think, though, you know, that boxes, once shit recovers, the best boxes will recover with it and will go higher. I still think it's one of the quote-unquote safer bets. Like, I'm overall bullish on the best boxes. So that doesn't, however, mean, you know, that things can't be overpriced in the short term sometimes. But I am still bullish on boxes. I just want to say that. I don't want to sound like a bear when I'm not actually bearish on something. So, we have some packs. Okay. Once again, these are always almost always confirmed lights. If you don't know that, essentially people break their box, weigh the packs, pull the foils, send the rest off for grading, and then sell those packs at a profit because people like graded packs. That's the move. That's the plan. First edition PSA 9 Snatch Steel. Really cool card. Again, I don't know how I feel about a 9 of this card right now, given that the 10 is relatively in reach. But I do think this card is iconic. And I do think that if you look at Magic Ruler's strong Magic cards, I think those will have a future, because I still feel like a lot of the want for certain iconic, powerful Magic cards isn't priced in yet. And I think as this market matures, certain of these cards are going to be more wanted. So now we're getting some of the big items right here. We have a gold sarcophagus, BGS 9, sold for $14,600. Wow. I don't know actually what the price history is on this card. Obviously, it's a Shonen Jump price card. Very loved, awesome, cool card. Probably one of the best ones in my opinion, and I don't own it. I'm just saying. If I had to rank the Shonen Jump price cards, I would say Crush Card Virus is the best one. Purely from a pop perspective, from a anime perspective, how iconic it was. Kaiba, simps love the card. And then, of course, how impactful it also was in the game. It basically has everything going for it. Then you have, in my opinion, Cyberstein. But the issue with Cyberstein is that its pop is higher than the other Shonen Jump price cards, except for Dark End. In my opinion, Dark End is way more plentiful, let's say. Still, you know, lower pop than set cards and so forth, but more plentiful than Cyberstein. But so Cyberstein has that iconic nature of being the first one and so forth. And of course, it was also super powerful for players, but it doesn't really have that anime power. That's why I think Crush Card is better. And then on the third place, I would put Gold Sark, because it has the anime power. It was also very impactful in the game. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's not a Crush Card and it's not a Cyberstein. You know, if we're talking about absolute monsters in the game, Gold Sark was really, really good, but it wasn't the same as those two. And then the rest would come after. And I don't own Gold Sark. I own one Stein. I own one Crush Card. Just so you know that there might be bias. So then we have DDS PSA 10, 15.3k. Okay, that's interesting. And we have another DDS 10 for 14k. So here's my thing. I feel like, once again, putting two of these big-ass items in the same block is foolish. But again, that's not up to WCC necessarily. If someone really wants to sell their card right now, they're going to put it up. And, you know, if it's two of the same in the same block, okay. It's just too bad because you're forcing lower liquidity on items that require time. But it is what it is. We have a Blackluster Soldier. Really cool card. I actually think Blackluster Soldier is not receiving the respect it deserves because it came out of the starter deck evolutions. If Blackluster Soldier was a set card, it would be one of the best ones. Like, straight up. Because people love the card. Iconic, super cool. Yugi, one of his strong things, you know. It has a lot of stuff going for it. It just happens to come out of a stupid fucking deck. And I actually think if I had to bet on a Evolutions card, it's probably that one. But, you know, it's still coming out of those, so that's very sad. It's the same as the God cards to me. If the God cards were in the sets, oh my god, they would be so cool to chase. Okay, then we have an Unlim Blue Eyes, whatever. We have a BGS 8.5 going for 4.7. So that's much lower than the PSA 9 for allegedly, you know, a card that's very close in grade. Let's check it out what the subs were. Those subs can be... Oh, no! No, baby, look at this! Look at this! If someone tells me that's the lighting, I'm gonna slap them. This is 8.5 edges. Holy hell. Remember when people go like, oh yeah, BGS is more strict than PSA. Yeah, because they give subgrades. And then you tell me that this is an 8.5 edges? Get out of here. That better be insanely bad lighting, but I don't know. Just no. Okay, I'm not gonna rant about it, but holy hell. Okay, BGS 9.5, LOB Red Eye. Oh, Asian English. Okay, I was very, very confused. Asian English. Okay. These cards I know nothing about. They're very cool, you know. They look very cool, but I know so little about it, I can't comment. I suppose if you're into that super vintagey OG look, you know, it's something. And again, you're getting them at absolute steals. This is half the grading price if you could get in at March prices, which you can't. Wow. Okay. Yeah, we have Blue Eyes from... Is that the starter deck one? PSA 10 for 2.6. Okay. We have our... OCG God cards. I don't know enough about them to say anything. Oh, this is the starter box one, an 8 for 425. Really cool card. I do like it, but I prefer English. Trishula. Once again, I don't know enough about that to comment. I find it funny how in Pokemon so many people are on the Eternal Copium, where, you know, prices are falling next to them and they go, oh, but look, you know, Japanese was always where it's at. Japanese is still growing. And they're essentially trying to do the exact same thing as when gold stars were being pushed. The market is going down, but look at this one little part that's still going up. And then that goes up. And then they can say, oh, look, I told you so. And then when it goes down, you know, they stop talking about it. Okay. So yeah, if you like real talk, stay subscribed to this channel. We have the remote dual giveaway 9.5 for 860. Oh, in Japanese? Okay, I don't know what this is about. 20th anniversary. Once again, a lot of OCG that I really can't comment on without sounding like an idiot. My understanding of OCG, you know, beyond some of the higher end cards, which I do keep track of because I find them fascinating, but like the lower tier items, like this type of stuff, I just don't know enough about. What is this? Oh, Legendary Collection Blue Eyes. See, once again, let's talk about this card. $63. Obviously just a modern Blue Eyes, whatever. But you still get a slabbed, cool looking card, you know, the original Blue Eyes art that kind of looks like the SDK. Obviously, it's not the same. Obviously, it's the ugly modern texture, so to speak. It's not a 10 even, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But if you send in this card right now, you're paying, if you got in at March prices, which you can't, but again, assuming that you could, you paid $30. And then you had to wait 2 years to get back the card. So if you want the Blue Eyes slabbed in your collection and you don't have a big budget, you just want the cool card, you know, I don't see anything wrong with paying this. There's people buying the silver pack Blue Eyes for way more. Yeah, that's controversial right there. But again, I'm not cutting, so too bad for me. I'm not, by the way, saying that it's a bad move to buy the silver plaque Blue Eyes. I think you can flip it to someone for a bunch of profit and get out soon. Or within 2 years or whatever. and probably have done well. It's just that there's a lot of risks playing against you. Let's see. Okay, we have some modern stuff. These are cool though. These legendary collection heroes, like this Avian right here. The big issue with the most iconic elemental heroes is that they never got like proper rare printings, you know? Like you never got an Avian in the main set in Ultimate Rare, First Edition, fancy schmancy, super rare. You just got your stupid commons from the starter deck and such. These at least give you a cool foil variant of some of your favorite heroes. And so if you're an elemental hero collector and you're obviously chasing after your Ultimate Rare First Edition fusion badasses like Elemental Hero Flame Wingman, Shining Flare Wingman, Wild Edge, and so forth. But if you then want the base forms, this is like the best you're gonna get. Maybe you can say like, oh, Mattel Bursinetrix, sure, but you know, beyond that, this is it. So I really like these cards. I don't know about speccing on them or anything like that because I don't know enough about the pop, but I do really like these as cards, collectible-wise. Duelist pack, Kaiba ultis. Cyberjar, pretty cool. Let's see. Premium pack, Magician of Black Chaos. So, this is another interesting one. This is a super iconic card. Yugi used it against Relinquished, I want to say, against Pegasus. And it was like a super awesome moment. But it never got that main booster set, you know, hard to find kind of release. And so that's working against it. But it's basically the best you have for this card, right? Or is there a retro pack where you can get it? I'm kind of blanking right now. But I just recall there not being a really easy, you know, a really clear chase for this card. So it is cool. You know, if you're making a Magician collection, you've got your Dark Magician, you've got your Dark Paladin, you've got your Dark Magician Girl, and then you're, you know, sprinkling in some lower tier items, let's say. You want some of your favorite magicians. Like, this is a really cool card. Some ulti heroes right here. PSA 10 Glow Neos for 4,000. Holy hell. That's a lot. Hard to pull card. Hard to grade card because it's an ulti from GX. I get it. It's just that I had no idea enough people cared about the, you know, those later on fusions as much. Quite as much as, you know, Flame Wingman, Shining Flare, and so forth. Okay, we have our first edition Rainbow Dragon, PSA 10, 3,600. Is that not a decline? I seem to recall its high being 4,500, but maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know. Then we had this Dreadmaster. Now, this is pretty sad because I really want a PSA 10 Dreadmaster. It's just that this is Asian English. So if this was regular American, I would have loved to pick this up. Dark City, the field spell for D heroes. Very cool card as well. Oh, so now we're in the May batch. I think we haven't discussed the May batch yet, so that's fine. But after the May batch, I'll be shutting down this video. My voice is also giving out. Power of the Duelist. Ultimate Tyranno, 650. Yeah. It's not quite as iconic, you know. You still got a cool ulti, but... Sneak Peek to Dark Magician Girl 9 for 132. It's pretty wild to me. Cyber Laser. Oh, Asian English. I was actually watching this one. I really like the roids. And I was assuming no one would be looking at it because, you know, it's just a roid. Who cares about roids? And I think I put in like 370 or whatever, and then it went to 500. I was like, wow, people really care about roids. That's interesting. Yeah, I like this card. Skyscraper, okay. What is this? A BGS 3 Flame Wingman for 237. Why? Why? I swear you can buy this raw for 40. Maybe I'm being an idiot, but... Like, this is the same line as the Cyber End, and I know I bought a Cyber End for 40, which is already high. I know I could have gotten it for less. Oh well. What? Oh, but this is harder to find, I think, than the Flame Wingman. But again, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I would have to check. But wow, for 3s and 4s, that's crazy. Mint 9, Fortress Whale, TP7, 659, alright. Thunder Giant, PSA 10, first edition for 1,400. I think there's one on auction right now going higher. So again, I do think GX is still rallying, and it might rally further. I'm just saying be cautious, because it's a pretty solid indicator of other stuff going down. In a very weird way, obviously. Obelisk. Yeah, I mean, SGC, it's a relatively respected name within sports. I've seen the Charizard, I think, in SGC also selling for high, where it was like the cleanest copy or whatever, SM Pratt was talking it up. But beyond that, in YuGiOh, it's just a non-existent name. Yeah, similar story on this one. Then Machine King, the Summer Tour promo PSA 10. How the mighty have fallen. Remember when people were paying 1,000, more even than 1,000 for this, because the rumor that there were only like a few hundred copies? Man, if you believe that rumor, I feel very sorry. You got fucked. Dark Magician Girl, RDS PSA 10. Limited edition for 1,500. That's wild to me. MFC or bust, baby. Apart from like the weird promos that are even more rare, obviously. Okay, Cyber End PSA 9 first edition Ultimate for 2,425. Once again, that's high. That's a big increase. Like even at the start of this year, when Dual Monsters somewhat peaked, this card was like 1,200 to 1,500. So now it almost doubled, or basically doubled again. I've even seen people, you know, trying to sell these at like 3K and getting interest and so forth. So like GX is going up wildly. First Ed Ulti PSA 9 Flame Wingman for 1,500. Wow. I do love these cards though. Like, baby. Winged Karibo BGS 9 for 590. QD. If Konami had marketed this card better, he would be the Pikachu. Curse of Anubis, 260. Really? That's pretty cheap. Like, you're talking about an Ultra. I know it's the least loved set, or one of the least loved sets, but man, this was a really cool card in the anime as well. It was used by Marik's friend / servant, I think, against Joey. Maybe I'm misremembering. But yeah, I think 260 is not a lot. I would have to check the pop on this card, but my gut instinct says that's relatively cheap. Freed the Brave Wanderer. Kind of whatever. IOC PSA 10 first edition Blackluster Soldier, 4,350. Wow, that's strong. Super iconic card, obviously. The Chaos Trio. I wouldn't bet against them. Here we have the Chaos Trio discount version, Unlim. We have a Sinister Serpent PSA 8. Okay. Valkyrian, the Magnet Warrior PSA 10. I know there's a bunch of this out there, sadly, but it's a pretty loved card. Once again, if those Valkyrian, Magnet 1, Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Warriors, and so forth were in a proper set, you know, with proper pool rarity, not the promo distribution type of deal, I think those could be actual winners. Spear Dragon, though I suppose the normal monsters would then not be foiled, they would just be common, so I guess I'm wrong there. I guess this one would have to be some kind of ultra or secret in some main set, and then these would be fine as game promos. So for 425 each, pretty cool cards. I do like them. I would like to have a set one day. I'm personally not buying them at these prices. I remember them being much, much cheaper, and now people are speccing on them, I guess. They are really cool, though. Like, people seem to forget how much Yugi used these. Cool card. Hellpomor, first edition, PSA 10 for 660. That might be its all-time high. Is it going up? That's cool. I like this card. BPT, what SGC, whatever, first edition, BGS 8.5 MFC for 3,000. That's strong, no subs even. This just shows you the power of Dark Magician Girl. Like, we can talk about earlier cards. I forgot what the other BGS 9 was we were talking about earlier. But with Dark Magician Girl, even when you're talking about a subless BGS 8.5, you know, just a bunch of, it's good, but it's really nowhere near great. It doesn't matter, because it's still fucking Dark Magician Girl, and it still breaks 3k just like that. I think this card will keep winning. I like this card a lot. First edition Breaker the Magical Warrior. If anything, my greatest regret in Yu-Gi-Oh! Might be that I didn't buy a bunch of MFC Dark Magician Girl early on. Because it was honestly pretty obvious. That's just my bad. Valkyrian. Red Eyes. Red Eyes. That's also, by the way, why I'm speccing right now as a complete Timmy on certain waifu cards in Vanguard, which is super stupid, by the way, and I'm not telling you to do it, because, again, that market literally doesn't exist, but I'm just like, if that market ever exists, it's gonna be the waifus, baby. Apart from, obviously, the best cards, like, apart from the highest end, like, their own Dark Magician, their own Blue Eyes, apart from those, the waifu cards are gonna win. TP3, 5, really, just these SG, whatever. I don't have anything against SGC, by the way. I just noticed that no one gives a damn in Yu-Gi-Oh! BGS 9.5. Card of Save Return first edition for 163. I think this is a steal. Honestly. Like, it's an Ultra. It's LON. It's really, really iconic because it was shown in the duel between Strings and Yugi. It's one of my favorite duels with Revival Gem Slifer. It's an Ultra, like, this is very low. But again, BGS consistently gets slaughtered in PWCC. Like here, once again, Harpy's Feather Duster, 158. You could crack this and play it in your deck and it wouldn't be the worst idea. I'm not saying you're not losing money doing that, by the way. It's just not the worst idea. Okay, let's keep going. Page 7. Holy hell, this is a long video. But I'd like to think it's giving you the least biased quick overview of how I'm feeling about the market right now. Valkyrion, cool card. Luster Dragon, it's a super. A Mask of Dispel. For only 91. That's pretty decent, actually. I wouldn't mind owning this. I like the masks. Again, Battle City. Unlim, Dark Magician Girl, BGS 9 for 610. Even though MFC wasn't, you know, reprinted like Walmart and so forth. Still not a huge fan of Unlim, but for a BGS 9, 610, I think people paid way more for a PSA 9 Unlim. So might not even be bad. Just try to cross, even though they don't have that option right now. Starter deck Yugi Unlim, kind of whatever. PSA 9 first edition SDK 2,946. I think that's a retrace, because I'm pretty sure the previous highs were like 4K and so forth. So that is a retrace. Also newer cert. LOB Unlim, kind of whatever. Do note when I say retrace, like, they're still way up from, like, even beginning and mid-2020. It's just a retrace from their peak in, I want to say, December, January. Salamandra. Tiger Axe, Harpy Lady Sisters. Here, is this a OG? No, it's not. I don't think so. No, it's Suijin, a 6. Once again, new cert here. New cert here. This is the kind of cards that people are mostly getting back right now. Like the proper loved cards just ain't there here. Unlim, new cert. When I say new cert, I mean like they came back this year or something close to it. Once again, new cert, Unlim. First ed, right leg. How did I miss this? Did I not talk about this? Wasn't this the beat up one? It might have been the beat up one. Let me quickly check. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Wait, why can't I zoom in? But basically, look at this. Look at this. Yeah, I didn't miss shit. This is a PSA 7 inside a 9 case. So I don't care about missing this one. Glossy Gaia first edition PSA 10 for 3,800. That's still pretty strong. BGS 9.5 first edition Trihorn for 1,900. It's pretty strong actually, considering it's BGS. Unlim Blue Eyes, whatever. Unlim, oh no, first edition Trap Hole. Is that a first edition? Yeah. A 9 for 355, pretty strong. Okay. Unlim, first edition, 3,500. 7.5, yeah, I mean. First ed Wavy Raigeki PSA 10. This is around all-time high, so it makes sense. First edition Wavy PSA 10 Poly for 2.2. Pretty sure that's close to all-time high. PSA 10 first edition Mystical Elf for 2,900. I think privately they went for more. It is an old cert, however, but I'm just saying, you know. Flower, yeah, whatever. Extremely old cert. Look at that. That's ancient. $31 for a first edition PSA 9. Shouldn't these be higher, actually? Like, I seem to recall these still going for higher. Wait, what are those? What are those? Whatever. Let's not discuss this card anymore. PSA 10 first ed Flame Swordsman, 3,450. That's slightly lower than all-time high, but wasn't all-time high but wavy? I don't know. I'd say this is still, you know, clearly just top of market. This is whatever. PSA 10 first edition wavy, all-time high. First edition Celtic Guardian, all-time high. Or close to it, at least. I think the all-time high was like 4K, but it was like this wavy, faded, weird anomaly. So I wouldn't say this is a retrace. This is like within line. First edition PSA 6. Whatever. Seriously, once you get into like PSA 5s and 6s of set cards, I'm kind of like, you know, if it's your personal collection, cool, but like, I'm not speculating on these. PSA 7, Unlim, okay, whatever. Unlim, whatever. At least it's original. This, they're saying original, I'm not going to check. 9.5, Unlim, whatever. First edition BGS 8, no subs, 1,400. How do I feel about this card? I'm actually not sure. Actually, it's pretty strong for an 8. It would depend on how the card actually looks. You know, if it crosses to a PSA 8, that's not too bad. Oh. Yikes, no. This is an 8 according to BGS. Guys, no. Okay, I'm not a fan of that price anymore. 1,300 for a 7.5. Is a 7.5 cleaner than the 8? Let's see. No, God, oh, holy fuck. Okay, 8.5 for the Dark Magician. 2K. Let's see why it's an 8.5. Okay, it's off center as fuck. That's an 8.5 in centering? Jesus Christ, man. Open your eyes. Corners 8, edges 9, surface 8.5. I'm not really seeing anything too bad, but I'm not able to zoom in. And again, I don't hold it in my hand. But I mean, I'll take their word for it. That's not an 8.5 in centering though. Holy fucking shit, dude. Okay, 7.5 for 1.4. Dark Hole PSA 10 first edition for 2,175. That's about in line with the all-time high. I think the all-time high was like closer to 3K though. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, some SGC stuff, kind of whatever. While it's loading, I have a bite. First edition Buster Blader, 670. That's not too bad. First edition PSA 10,000 Ice Restrict for 2.6. I think its all-time high was like 3 something. Low 3 something. So that's like a slight retrace. I think that's pretty in line. It's not the biggest deal. I like this card a lot. And it's a cover card. I think longer term it'll be higher than this. But again, this is no financial advice. Tournament pack, weird guy. Australian LOB, kind of whatever. Australian LOB, kind of whatever. Again, when you get into these niches of made for a specific country, you know, you're limiting the amount of people potentially interested in your card by so much that I don't know. I don't risk it. DDS PSA 10 Dark Magician for 6.2. I think that's a retrace. I think it was higher for the 10. I don't know. And then we have some more SGC. What is up with all this SGC? I never see SGC Yu-Gi-Oh! For sale except for now. BGS 9 Tri-Horned First Ed for 600. Let's check it out. Dude, shut the fuck up. This is 8.5 centering, but the last card was also 8.5 centering, and that card was about to fall off the cardboard. And this one is like, obviously it's not great centering. This is probably 8.5, but dude. Okay, so this is basically a 9 for 600. Yeah, the retrace on Tri-Horned I think is pretty interesting. I think it's justified because not that many people actually give a damn about Tri-Horned. Don't get me wrong, it's still a low B, but you know, when you let people choose a secret, they're going for Gaia like 99% of the time. I do enjoy the card though, just, you know, it's coming back down to its more organic demand, let's say. Mystical Elf, BGS 8.5 for 200. So this card, I've already complained about. I was following this card. I was going to bid on it, and I forgot. And yeah, it ended at way too low in my opinion. I would have gladly paid this. Like, it's not even a particularly bad copy or anything like that. It's off-center, obviously, but like, really? 200? For Mystical Elf? No way. Most underrated card in LOB in my opinion. And I only own one. I would love to own way more of this card, because this makes no sense. If you bought this, hit me up, I'll buy it off you, and you can make some profit off me. Curse of Dragon, first edition wavy, BGS 8.5 for this. Once again, it's probably too low in my opinion. But at least it's higher than Mystical Elf, which makes no sense to me. Sure, it's wavy, but the waifu tax should be higher than the wavy tax, guys. But that's just my controversial opinion. Then here, BGS 8, Curse of Dragon 285. Okay, fine. Here we have, is this an other Mystical Elf that I also missed? 8.5 first edition for 2. Wow. Wow, no way, dude. Oh, this one, if this is actually whitening, I don't regret not picking it up. The other one was way cleaner. Okay. Flame Swordsman BGS 9 for 565. That's once again very low considering it's the most wanted super. Celtic Guardian BGS 9. I feel like someone offloaded all of their, you know, not 9.5 BGS LOB cards. 7 for 117. This is basically raw prices. That's interesting. A BGS 10 pristine Dark Magician for 9.6. Wow. A 7.5. Yeah, I mean, whatever. You know, once you get into these grades, it's literally whatever. A 4. Yeah, I mean, if you want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, I respect it, but beyond that, like, why would you ever buy this? You know, it's not even anywhere near clean. It doesn't even look nice. Like, if the back was just beat up and you could still display it, okay, but what is this? You know, there's no reason to buy this. Unless you really want the first edition SDK Blue Eyes, and this is your one way to get it. This is your cheapest in, okay? I don't know how much the raws actually are for that card, so maybe it's justified, but I don't see it personally. CRU 9.5, yeah, kind of whatever. Some OCG that I can't really comment on. Some Bandai, which is pretty cool. But again, I can't really speak about the prices. Ooh, these are cool. I really like this card, but oh well. Oh, and then we go back to the previous batch. So yeah, that was it. I hope this gives you a pretty solid outlook of mine on the market right now. I know literally 1% of my channel's viewership might be watching still now. Probably less, maybe it's like 0.5. So thank you so much for that. I hope you found this interesting. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.